We're good.
Cool. Sounds good, guys. So we are live. And forgive me if there's any noise or anything in the background. I'm at a client's office right now. I just had to stop and do this live. So, Josh, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How are you?
Good, man. So I just want to kind of recap on the meeting that we had earlier today. We don't have to kind of describe the client, but basically, I want to talk about, everyone's need and even our need, right, to get clients now, get on ROI now, and everyone's the go-to is the Facebook ads, right? That is a go-to, right? Like, hey, we need Facebook ads and we need results now, right? And I just kind of want to talk about our experience with that, and even I would say for the audience, right, for those looking to get an ROI today, really looking at the consumer, right, like. In the eyes of the consumer, we want money from them. I rarely hear conversations of what value are we going to deliver to them, right? Like, hey, I know that the client, we need and even us, right? We need ROI. That's not, everyone needs ROI today, especially small businesses, right? And the goal is okay, if they don't know us, we don't have brand, what are we going to lead with that will get them to come to us, right? And I kind of look at it as that networker at a networking event, that business owner that always just passes out his cards, right? Say, hey, do business with me, do business with me, do business with me. Instead of, hey, here's, and obviously it's different on social media, but like, hey, I want to get to know you. I want to get to know your business, right? So I just want to get into our psychology, because we do have two strategies of, hey, here's an ad, here's a direct response, right? Someone has an offer, they come to us, and then there's the other one, which is a 3-tier method, which, hey, let's give value, and then ask, right? And I know that here's the challenge, right? We all need ROI today, but the consumer needs value today, right? I think that is the biggest thing. And even just talking through it, right? Because this is the journey, right? We don't have this specific answer. And a lot of these ads that we see are very gimmicky when it comes to, hey, we'll get you business today. We'll give you leads today. We got this, right? And it just doesn't feel, one, authentic, and number two, like it's of value, right?
Right.
And I think that's the main thing is, hey, everyone's looking, how many people are looking for the ROI today? And that's the benefit, obviously, of a big company, right? They don't need money today. Small companies, how can we get them ROI? And I think for me, it's how do I give them ROI, and then how do I give the consumer something of value for free today? Like when you're doing a Facebook ad, like we talked about, hey, this client has a product. How do we give that product away so they can taste it, literally taste it, right? So that way they can come back and buy more. Right. So like a Facebook ad strategy needs to be, hey, even if we don't know them, how do we get them hooked, right, to our product? How do we give them something and then upsell them down the line, right? I don't think you're going to go up to someone and say, hey, I need you to pay this amount of money, right? Because in Facebook ads, it's the Wild West, right? There is no, like, everyone has a universal formula, everyone, but it's all in the targeting and it's all in the ads, right? Like the creative and the targeting, right? How can we make those two things so powerful when they come together? Like I look at it as two sticks, right? The creative stick and the targeting stick. I'm trying to rub them together and spark a flame, right? And that's interest, that's watch time as well, right? It's a lot of different things. So I just wanted to share our journey of, hey, this is, we're playing two games here. We're trying to give the customer the ROI that they need, right? But at the same time, we're trying to give, their customer value that they want to do business with this person, right? So I really just want to share our journey and our mindset of, okay, we know you need ROI today. However, we know the branding is what's going to give you. I look at it as, look, this is fast food. This is nutritional, right? And every fast food person says, or even like the get, not even the get rich quick, but the get slim quick, right? Like, hey, drink this shake every day. You're going to get this 6-pack. We all know that if we want to get in shape, we have to work out, we have to eat right, and we have to do that consistently, right?
Right.
Like that's
Right.
brand. However, right, there is this Facebook ad strategy of, hey, you take this, fat burning pill, you take this, whatever, which could work short term. It really could work. However, is that long term sustainable? No, right? But then again, let's not ignore the fact that a lot of our businesses need dollars in today.
Right.
And so I want to get into that a little bit of how do we get dollars in today? And I'll
Right.
explain a little bit about how to do that. One, obviously there has to be an offer, right? There has to be an initial offer that you're giving to clients when you're doing Facebook ads. And that offer, right, in the e-commerce world, if you're selling a product, usually has to be $20 or less, right, to get them through the funnel. Right? In the last episode of the Q&A, I talked about what is a funnel, right? Like, how do I get them interested in my product so that way they can come and buy more, right? That's
Right.
number one. Like, okay, how do I get an offer that's easy to say yes to? Like, it's a no-brainer. Let me say yes to it. Let me get it, buy it. I don't have to think about it, right? And then there's the services side, which what is easy to say yes to? Maybe a game plan, maybe a consultation, right? Typically, it's usually a consultation. Let's talk, right? It's easy for me to say yes to because you have to think people aren't waking up today expecting your ad. They're not waking up today and saying, man, I'm expecting this ad to show up in my timeline and I need to take action, right? So
Right.
we need to have an offer that's easy to say yes to, right? And it's not exactly, hey, I'm going to sell you right away, but I want to make sure that my offer is one, good, and number two, people are willing to take the next steps, right? Like that is the main goal, right? And then there's the targeting, right? Who am I going to target, right, to effectively make sure my offer makes sense to them, right? Because we can target anyone in the world. However, we need to test and see which audience is gravitating to our offer, right? And then once we know that, then that's when the real game starts, which is the conversion, right? Okay, now I'm getting in, 4 or 5 different inquiries. Now I'm getting in all these, right? Now the funnel really starts. You have to feed the funnel. And then it's like, okay, how many of X number of consultations does it get me one client, right? I think that's the overall strategy of like, okay, now that we know those numbers, and guess what? Companies are paying and losing money just to get that data. Let's just get that clear, just to get that data. I actually just watched, have you seen The Social Dilemma yet?
I saw a piece of it, not the whole thing.
You got to watch it, man. You got to watch it, especially in our industry. You got to watch it. I mean, it has a negative connotation on social media, but here's one thing that there's an influencer called the Google Tech Lead. And he said, look, I'm not so worried about like the addictiveness of it as much as I am the machine learning part of it. And he's like, let me tell you, this guy was an ex-Google Tech Lead. And he said, look, at YouTube, this is what our job was, to create software to increase watch time. Because the more watch time, the more advertisers we can put. And he says, guess what? We weren't focused on watch times of 10%, whatever. We're just focused on how do we get one more second of them to watch? Like whatever we do, how do we get like one more second? He's like, if we get 1 second or even 1% better. So if you're watching for a minute and we get 1% better with our programming and the machine learning, that is a success to us. Like that is like, wow, we did an amazing job. Right. So like that, like it's funny, a company as big as YouTube, all they're focused on is 1 second more of watch time. Right. And as a company, we're worried about how do we 10x that, right? Like you see how, and I get it, right? Bigger companies have time, and he did say, look, we have a bunch of money and a bunch of machines running just to get 1 second, right? And I just want to kind of get that mindset of, wow, these companies are just worried about you watching 1 more second. And that's the key to Facebook ads is whatever metric we're looking at, how do we just increase it just a little bit? But then we have this metric of, right, we need ROI now, right? We need ROI now combined with how do I incrementally increase this? And I know that those two things sometimes are hard to gauge, hard to align, but that's the field of it.
Right. No, that's a good point. And I think that that's a good angle for us to talk about that today, because it's a real life scenario. Like you said, this is about the journey. Literally, we had a sales call this morning, right, where we talked about some of these philosophies, some of our thoughts, some of our strategies. And I think, right, to bring value to the audience, when I think about everything that you just said, right, how do we translate that to help the small business owner, right, today? And I think, to your point, big companies, they're looking at how do I get the attention of people. That's what they're driving for. How do I get more attention? Like you said, 1%, 1 second, all of that, right? And in a similar way, you bring it down to a small business owner. That same question should matter to them, right? On a much smaller level. How do I get the attention of who I'm trying to target? Something we brought up to the persons we were talking to today was being authentic, right? We know we hear that all the time. Be authentic, be authentic. But what that literally means for them, right, is to showcase themselves in a variety of ways. I always like to say all of us have a stock photo of ourselves or a stock photo video, right? Where we're like TV commercial and we look good, we're in our sharpest suit, or whatever. It's like, that's great. That serves a purpose, but online audiences really want to feel like you're human. And I think it's really about personalizing, humanizing yourself, right? Being relatable, right? And even though we all know that there's a certain skills, there's certain tactics, strategies, things that we should keep in mind to do that. So like as an example, we were talking to a coffee business, and what was nice is the person that was talking to us about that was very knowledgeable. Like it was actually very interesting to hear all the knowledge that they had. And the reality was we needed to encapsulate that and create a show, right? Where literally every single week they are putting themselves on camera, on social medias, creating a number of videos, right? Just sharing their knowledge, sharing the tips, like sharing things with me that personally, like I'm not a huge coffee drinker, but like if I'm just being a human consumer for a second, like it was interesting to know that, what's the difference between a Starbucks bean and this bean or that bean. When you drink black coffee, we drank black coffee today and it was unlike any black coffee I had ever drank. But like to learn why, right? And for him to explain that, it was like, like within an hour, he was becoming our guru. Like he was becoming our coffee guru. Like, quite frankly, if I sat with him 3 or 4 times out of the month and really got to learn about, coffee, if I ever have questions about coffee, who am I going to go to? Him, And so building that kind of relationship.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. Like, hey, all the knowledge and like maybe doing an ad to say why you cannot drink black coffee, right? Why you're not able to, right? Like that. Right. That's awesome. So maybe, like you said, going back to how do I give the end consumer value, right? If you need ROI now, I would say, first of all, start branding however way you can, creating video content, because that's how we got our initial first client off of this, right? Was just pure branding, right? And then on the ad side, we are still, as far as like on the journey on that, but I think this is what we're trying to, because this is the journey, right? This is what we're trying out. Hey, we're going to do offers to like 8 different types of people, 8 different types of companies. And we're going to gauge and see which one of these audiences gravitates more. And here's what I'm going to look at. I'm already seeing on the ads, who's watching more of the ad, right? Which audience is watching more of the ad? Some people are watching 3%, 4%, 5%, 8%, right? Right. Then that tells me, okay, this audience is watching at least 8% more, 5% more.
Maybe if you don't mind, Shannon, too, not to interrupt you, but if you don't mind, I think that your point is about to be really good. I want to make sure that the listeners kind of understand how we're bucketing this, okay? And I think to be totally clear, I think that the strategy in our journey that we're using, right, that we're going to encourage others to use is everyone should have 2 forms of content, right? And so just for full clarity, there needs to be, right, sales type ads where you are transparently asking for something. You're sharing, you're giving knowledge, but basically the full transparent intention is, I want you to contact me. I want you to click here and buy here. I want you to take action. that kind of ad, right? That is for the quick ROI, like you say. That's the diet pill. That's the I need to get ready for the Oscars, so I'm going to do a water diet or whatever. Like that's just immediate results, right? And so that's the ad with the call to action. I think that while that is going to bring short-term results, the reality is all these small businesses are forgetting, or most of them are forgetting, creating content to bring, right, a lasting brand. Where that, excuse me one second, where content for the lasting brand, right, that's going to create really residual clients that come to you just because they know you over time. That doesn't is not immediate ROI, but it's necessary. Me and you always use this on client meetings. When's the last time you bought a pair of Nikes because somebody sold you? You don't. You go and buy Nike because of the brand. And granted, we're not going to become billion-dollar companies in that same way, but you can create that same kind of brand on a local or an internet kind of level. It is possible. People are doing it. So I think for full clarity, right? You got your ad that you're asking for something, short ROI, and then you got your brand content, which is bringing value, not asking for anything. Hey, today I'm going to tell you about the 5 cups of coffees that you should drink because of this. And here's the 5 cups of coffee that aren't so good. And here's why, right? I just made that up. But the point is that that's establishing your brand as an expert in the field and as a guru, right? And so not to interrupt you, but I want to make sure the audience understands the 2 buckets, right? The kind of content that we're making for ourselves, but also we're encouraging with our clients because we really believe it's going to get short-term and long-term results, if that makes sense. Okay, I'll pass it back over to you.
This because we're at 16 minutes. I want to end with this. And I want to be full transparent with the audience, even if we are the only ones watching this. This is our theory, right? Brand works. High quality brand works. And if we bring that quality, like, I'm not sure if I can talk about the company you work for or whatever, but we work for a pretty reputable company. And if we bring that movie style quality content to small businesses as a brand package, that's where they're going to win.
Right.
Then theory with a weekly show, if every small business had a weekly high produced show, they will win in business and in ROI, right? It won't be quick, right? However, there's a second option, which is if we produce high quality video Facebook ads, they will perform better than a normal phone ad. These are our 2 theories. Now, the fact that we are a small business, we are testing that theory out on ourselves, right? Whether or not these theories works will depend on whether that question's a yes or no. That will depend the future of digital faces as we know it.
Right.
So I want us to document this, right? And in the next week or 2, we're going to know the answer to that, because just like a small business, and it's funny, we're empathetic to them because we are them. But however, when I look at a small business, it's easy for me to criticize and say you need short ROI. However, we got to look in the mirror and say, look, we have the same issue, right? So the theory is, look, if you have high quality content on a weekly basis, that's going to grow your business long term. However, short term, if you have high quality content targeted properly, that could also bring you short ROI, because on the Facebook ads part, it's the wild, wild west, as we've seen. Even the bigger agencies, they have more data and more money for sure, but everyone has the same access to the same ads. It's just who can put out the better creative.
And I got to say this. That is such a good point. You just brought this to mind, and I want to make sure we share this with the audience, is that I think it's funny when people film with cell phones, right? And you see a lot of those ads, right? You see a lot of those ads where it's like cell phone. Those are great. I'm not saying they're bad. The good thing, the good element I like about those is it does naturally create a feeling of authenticity. You feel like, oh, wow, this is a real person because he's on a cell phone. Like, that's the feeling that you are going after, right? Whereas on the other extreme, you have a TV commercial, and those feel very vanilla. Those feel very impersonal, right? Sometimes you feel out of touch if it's too polished. So to your point, what we're doing is we feel we're one of the few. I personally don't know of any smaller agencies doing this, but we are trying to be right in the middle where we are very polished, but we are creating our content and advising our clients to be authentic, right? With certain tactics in the videos, right? Such as, right, if you are a coffee person, right? Let's make a polish ad and let's talk specifically to Bellflower. Let's talk specifically to Bellflower moms, right? And our hope
Right.
is with that authenticity, right? Kind of changing the script, having an authentic, but also mixed with polished, high quality videos. That's where we think we're onto something in our secret sauce. And to your point, that's what we're going to see. So I think that what I would do if I was a small business owner right now, let's just say, and I wasn't working with an agency like us, or I didn't have access or didn't have the funds to work with anybody, I think what I would do is try to find that middle ground. Find the best, right, camera that you have. If it's the iPhone, that's great, right? Do your best. Make sure it has good audio, but then mix it with as polished of a look that you can get, mixed with some authentic words, with authentic feeling, and give real value. And I think that mix in between, I think that's what's going to resonate, right, with customers. And like you said, we will know sooner than later, because we have ROI goals ourselves, short-term ROI goals, and we also have long-term goals. And so, they kind of have to go hand in hand. If we don't get short-term ROI, we're out of business, right? If we don't have enough cash to burn. So we feel the pain.
Because we're finding a machine. We're finding a machine that could potentially be great. And so for the audience out there, our theory is, look, if you have a high quality content as a weekly show, you're going to win. We actually pretty much know that, right? The problem is as a small business, you need money now. So our theory is, if you create high quality video ads, and then what you do is you see where you can target on Facebook, then talk to that person. So if you see on Facebook, you can target moms in Bellflower, do an ad that says, "Hey, moms in Bellflower." Put out that ad. And like I said, we're testing out probably, I would say $7 a day. $7 a day for 3 days. See where you get, right? See what kind of results you get. We personally like to give direct, in the direct response world, right? We like, message us or, hey, fill out a form or whatever the case is. And so that way that will fund your branding, right? That'll fund your branding. So that's our theory. That's the whole goal here, is we need we love to create volume of content. However, the short-term ROI will fund that volume of content until that volume of content can actually get us consistent passive leads. So that's our journey. That's what we're going to find out. You're going to know. And I want to give the answer like, hey, we figured it out, or hey, we didn't, right? That's the journey. That's the journey, right? We're being authentic in what we're talking about. So I definitely want to just put it out there in the universe. And when it works, the goal is to then just take that medicine and use it on everyone else, right? Exactly. I think that's the one thing that us as an agency, we are eating our own dog food. We're testing it out on ourselves. And even for me, it's a little, and I feel what a business feels, right? Like, oh my God, like, I hope this works, right? Like, this is all or nothing, right? So it is scary. It is a risk. However, the reason why we all get into business is to see if our dreams can come true. And more than anything, and maybe Josh, I remember told you this, it's not that I'm not concerned about the results. I just want to say in my life, and this is just macro, I live my life by, did I at least go for it? Did I at least swing? Right? I'm not that I'm okay with it, but I'm okay saying I tried. I tried my best. I gave it my all. Right? However, if when you give it your all, you never not get nothing. You never not get nothing. However, it might not be the result you want, but as an entrepreneur, even if this fails, right? I don't want to put that in the universe, right? Like, even if this goes out, one, I at least learn something. Two, I don't live with regret, right? Like, we all have that itch, like, man, what if? Like, man, what if I had the best videography team, right? And the best partner, like, could it work, right? I don't, now I'm just like, okay, I need to apply myself 100% to make sure that whatever the result is, I'm okay with how I performed.
Right. Right.
So,
Exactly. And I love that. And I think that's the key. And I'm going to say, here's what I want to leave this episode with, or at least end with from my perspective. To me, I feel like it's just basic humans buying from humans. Like, and something we shared in our sales call this morning is the human psychology. It makes me think. I remember me and my wife one time we went to like an Avon party kind of thing, right? And somebody is like, "Oh, I'm a presenter, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about teas, right, or whatever kind of product." And it's so funny, just like when you sit there, you've taken the time, and you're sitting there watching the presentation. There, one, you get to see the personality of the person. Two, you get to see the knowledge that they have about the product. And then they start highlighting the value that this product, right, be it teas, be it jewelry, be it whatever, and they're sharing with you the value that it truly has because it is a good product. And it's amazing what happens just with human psyche. You're literally like, oh, wow, that's so interesting. Like most of the time, any one of those parties I go with, somebody always ends up buying something because you took the time, you saw the value, you got to know Becky or Rob or whoever the presenter is, and you feel like, oh, like, there's some camaraderie there now. And it's they now have become your guru of whatever that product is. And really that's what moves you to do business with them. I think the internet is just a broader version of that. Really. I mean, if you think about that, internet is that at scale. And I think that it's important that we, right, are documenting it here. We really believe that if you have your own little Avon parties online, hey, come to my show today. We're going to talk about this, this, and this. Let me bring you some value, get to know me, right? If you get enough of those, people will want to do business with you. So you're right. I mean, do we know for a fact that this thesis is going to work? I mean, the reality is on a personal level with stats, we're not there yet. This is the journey. We have a thesis. We've seen a little bit of results so far, and we've only been posting for a couple of weeks, but it's just a human feeling kind of thing. We really feel good that, yes, the way I buy from people, we think if we can produce the right kind of authentic content, people are going to want to buy from us, and we can help others, right, to have people want to buy from them. And so it's going to be interesting. To your point, I think I really appreciate you kind of pushing that authenticity, pushing where we're really at today. The next 4 weeks for us, for anybody that's watching, is going to be critical, right? Me and Shannon, right, have burned, cash like any entrepreneur does early on, right?
yeah,
We're probably
we're
in
losing
week, yeah, we're in week number 8, 9. And when we first started this, we knew, and again, we have reasonable goals, but we knew like, hey, 2 months in, it's building the machine. We are about
right.
80, 90% there. And then we know that third month was going to be about, all right, proof of concept. Let's go place ads on
Yeah.
ourselves. Let's go make sure we got our videos coming out every day, our posts coming out every day. And so the next month is going to be telling, and so we're excited to bring everybody along this journey. And regardless of the results,
Yeah.
to Shannon's point, we're excited to put ourselves out there.
Look, we're investing in this content. We're investing in this machine, whether it be a couple months, whether it be just a couple weeks, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. Now, what comes out of that mouth, we're going to see. We're going to see. But this is the journey. And regardless, you guys are going to see in document. We're in 2020. We're in the midst of pandemics. We're in the midst of this and that. I still believe in what we're doing, and we're investing in it. And you guys are going to see, when you see what happens. So with that being said, guys, that is our journey. And I guess the next episode was let's talk about how our ads are doing and what happened. So we're right now, today, the ads are live. We got one message, by the way. So okay. We'll see if we can get a quick ROI to feed our machine, right? Which is the content and all the things like that. So until the next episode, guys, hopefully you'll follow us on the journey.
Absolutely. My last 10-second comment from last week, we got 2 more subscribers on YouTube. So let's make sure we're at 50. I want to get to 100. So please subscribe by next podcast. Let us at least see 51. Okay. So somebody out there, let's subscribe to our YouTube. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Shannon. Appreciate you.